Hello everyone! With set 3 on the corner, set mostly about the Clone Wars, I think a lot of us are very excited for this set, so I thought I would make a tier list video and give you guys an idea of where I stand on each of these leaders, hopefully give some insight for your decks. Please take this with a grain of salt. I am very opinionated. The set is not out, so we don't know how they will actually perform. We only have ideas. With all of that said, let's quickly explain what each of these tiers mean to me. S tier. S tier is meta, or meta changing. A very strong leader that could change up the current pace of the game. The current pace of the game being Sabine green and Boba of any color. A tier. I'd say that's a strong and competitive leader. It can play well into the current meta. B tier, a solid leader. They can perform decently, but there are better choices. C tier, a weak leader overall for competitive play. There are much better options, basically. And D tier, for fun leader, do not play this. Possibly not even fun to play. So those are what the tiers mean to me. Let's go straight into command. Let's get Padme out of the way really quick. Immediate D tier. Might be the worst leader that has been announced so far to date. Her leader side, her front side, her ability requires coordinate, and for coordinate you need 3 units on the board, which is already a big prerequisite. And then you can pay 1 and tap Padme. So you can pay 1 and exhaust her to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a single Republic card. You can reveal it and draw it. So as an ability, the concept is not bad. I think if it was just tap or just pay and tap, it would be much better. But you need to have 3 units out before you are even able to use her ability. She comes out on 5 resources at 2/7, which isn't terrible. But she only has restore 1. And then she maintains her coordinate ability. On attack, you can search the top 3 cards of your deck for a Republic card, reveal it, and draw it. Again, coordinate is a very big prerequisite. I don't see a lot of situations where she can even use her ability before flipping if anybody wants to play against her ability and keep control of the board by swinging into her units. It's not good. It is not good. I don't think we need to spend too much more time on her. We can just move on to Count Dooku. I think Count Dooku is an A tier leader. A tier for sure. Very, very strong. Count Dooku, as an action, you can play a Separatist card from your hand. It gains Exploit 1. And if we don't know what Exploit does, Exploit means when you play a card from your hand, you can choose a unit you have out on the board to defeat it. If you do defeat a unit on the board, the unit you are playing costs 2 less. So it means you can play units faster than normal, basically. Very, very strong, especially with a lot of token creation, a lot of droid token creation. I think overall I can see it performing very well in the current meta. On his flip side, he gains Overwhelm, and on attack, the next Separatist card you play gains Exploit 3, meaning you can defeat 3 units on your field to make a card that you are playing cost 6 less, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Rex. We'll move on to Rex, Captain Rex. I'm torn between B and C. I'd say maybe C tier. Rex requires a lot. As an action, you can pay 2 resources and exhaust him. If a friendly unit has attacked this phase, you get to create a clone trooper token, and clone trooper tokens are 2/2. So you're paying 2 resources to create a 2/2 token. If it was maybe just the same action and pay without needing to attack, without having a prerequisite, I think that could be a little stronger. I think having that needs to attack prerequisite really tunes him down. Again, just like with Padme, he can be countered by somebody having initiative and swinging on your units first. Then he no longer has a leader ability, basically. He comes out on 5 resources at 2/6. He is, I believe, the only leader that creates a unit or token when deployed. So when you deploy him, you create a clone trooper token, and each other friendly trooper unit gets +0/+1. So all of his token units will have 1 extra health. They'll be at 2/3, which isn't terrible. But you would need Commander Cody, you would need Shock T, you would need things that buff all of your units. It can be good if you have a perfect hand, which makes it not good, if that makes sense. Moving on to Wat Tambor. I think Wat Tambor is very slept on. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in A tier. I think he's really slept on. I've seen a lot of people talking down on Wat Tambor. As an action, you can tap Wat Tambor, and if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, you can give another unit +2/2 for the phase. Green black overall is just very strong. So with Wat Tambor, you're mostly focused on early trades, but not really. Even if you have a sentinel unit, they'll have to swing into it, which then enables you to tap and give something else +2/2. Since he's separatist, he has access to a lot of new set 3 cards and token creation. So you can throw a 1/1 token, a 1/1 battle droid just into the fray, killing it, and then tapping Wat to give something else +2/2. He deploys on 5, a very strong 5 deploy at 3/6. What makes his deploy strong is you can tap him, give +2/2, then to deploy, and then attack again for another +2/2, because his deploy side is on attack. If a friendly unit was defeated, you can give another unit +2/2. So a lot of unit buffs. Comes out early enough to reintroduce units like Steadfast Battalion. There's a new unit, Obedient Vanguard. It's a 1/1/1 with Raid 1, and when defeated you can give a unit +2/2. That'll be really good in Wat Tambor. I just think he's a solid villainy aggro deck, because you'll be buffing up your units quite a bit, and then all of a sudden a unit is +4/4 or +6/6, and then swings for 1,000,000 to your base. It'll come out of nowhere. Let's move on to Jango Fett. I think Jango Fett is really strong if ignored. He doesn't have a lot of things in set 3 that are really crazy for him. He has, blanking on the name of the ship, it's like a 3/3/2 ship. When played, you can deal 1 damage to something, which would proc Jango Fett's ability, which is when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, you exhaust that enemy unit. So 5, 3, 7. And now it is a permanent effect. It doesn't exhaust Jango. When a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust that unit. So things like the Vambrace Flamethrower are very oppressive. In yellow, black, red, sorry. So something like, you don't even really need Tarkin Town since you'll be exhausting Dengar, and then bounties. You can deal 1 damage from the bounty, exhausting the unit as well. It is just very, very, very oppressive. I think I'll put him in B tier. Okay, let's move on to Quinlan Voss. I think he is a very restrictive leader. I'm gonna put him in C tier. Probably like low C tier. What he does as a leader is when you play a unit, you can exhaust Quinlan Voss, and if you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit that costs the same as the played unit. Now, you have to match the cost of their unit in order to deal damage. I feel like maybe it could be good in red with Tarkin Town. You can kind of stop their turn 1 play by matching their cost, and it should be guaranteed almost that you stop their turn 1 plays like that. You will just need a 1 cost unit and a 2 cost unit in your starting hand, and then you can stop it guaranteed with Tarkin Town. You can deal the 1 damage and then use your Tarkin Town base to deal another 3 damage. But other than that, it's too restrictive on his leader ability. He is a 5/3/7. On his flip side, when he is deployed, it no longer has the cost restriction. It is now, instead of the exact cost, it is the same cost or less than the played unit. So if they play a 2 cost unit, you can play 2 and up. So if you play a 5 cost unit, you can still do the 1 damage ping to the 2 cost unit, if that makes sense. I just think it's too restrictive. We can move on to General Grievous. I'm really sad to say, but I think General Grievous is also C tier. I don't see him doing very well. He comes out on 6 as a 4/8, which is okay, pretty solid. Tanky stats, right? As an action, you can give a droid unit Sentinel for the phase. So it stops a lot of swings. It enables a lot of trades. But I just don't think it's enough. If his whole identity is just stalling the game, I don't see it doing very well. On his flip side, when he deploys, his new ability is on attack. You may give a droid unit +1/+0 and Sentinel. So it's an upgraded version of his leader action. It gives him Sentinel and +1 power. Let's move on to the next leader, Chancellor Palpatine, which I believe is going to be our first S tier leader. Seems like a super fun leader. The very first leader of this game that has been released that does not deploy. As an action, you can exhaust him, and if a friendly heroism unit was defeated this phase, you can draw a card, heal 2 damage from your base, and then you flip the leader. And when you flip the leader, he becomes Darth Sidious, which is now yellow villainy instead of yellow heroism. So you have access to all of heroism and all of villainy cards, as well as whatever base aspect you use. And on Darth Sidious, if you've played a villainy card this phase, you can tap him, create a Clone Trooper token, deal 2 damage to each enemy base, and then flip back to Chancellor Palpatine. So back to his heroism side. So it's an incredibly unique playstyle. You're using both heroism and villainy cards. I think he'd be really strong in blue. You have access to a lot of restore, so you'll really never take damage because you have heroism restore and then Chancellor Palpatine tapping to heal more from your base. And then when you flip over to villainy, you can play removal cards like Power of the Dark Side, which enable you to create another Clone Trooper token, which is a heroism 2/2 token unit, deal 2 to the enemy base, and then flip back to Palpatine. So you just need to get the ball started, and once it's rolling, it's rolling, you know? Very strong, access to the most cards in the game. I'm excited to see what people do with it. Let's move on to Asajj Ventress. I don't know where to put Asajj Ventress. I haven't done a lot of testing with her. As an action, you can tap her and attack with a unit. If you've played an event this phase, it gets +1, +0 for this attack. I mean, I suppose it's not a hard requirement to fulfill. You won't be using it too much because she comes out on, at least you won't be using it too much before her deploy. She comes out on 4 resources. She's a 4 cost, 3/4 leader. And when she's deployed on attack, if you played an event this phase, this unit, so Asajj Ventress, gets +1, +0 for the attack and deals combat damage before the defender. So when she's deployed, she basically has the shoot first event at all times, as long as you've played an event. So I think because of that, she's gonna be in B tier. She's one of those decks where the focal point is really around Asajj Ventress and building up momentum because of her deploy, rather than something like Palpatine who doesn't deploy and your whole focus is on the things that you play. But with Asajj Ventress, you deploy her and then you use events to control the board, and then, or even like surprise strike a different unit into base, and then you can use her attacks to control all of the ground arena because she probably won't be dying because she deals combat damage first. So I will be putting her in B tier. Moving on to Pre Vizsla. I was excited when I saw Pre Vizsla. Pretty excited. I think I'm also gonna have to put him in B tier. I don't think he's like crazy good. I think he's the low end of B tier, nearly C tier. I'm only putting him in B tier because of his stats. He comes out on 5 as a 4/6 with conditional 6/6. Alright, moving on to Darth Maul. I think he's gonna have to be pretty low B tier. Yeah, I think he's gonna have to be pretty low B tier, unfortunately. As an action, you can attack with a unit and it gains overwhelm for this attack. It's a pretty solid action. Another leader that's pretty focused on controlling the board. You know, you play a high damage unit and then you get to swing on their base as well, basically, right? By overwhelming damage, and it bleeds onto their base. He deploys at 6 as a 6/6 unit, and everybody gets overwhelm once he's out. And at 6 health, you're pretty vulnerable to a lot of different things. Poe ambush, Wrecker ambush, he Zuckuss ambush as well. There are a lot of things that you need to keep in mind at 6 health that you need to be pretty careful. 6 damage is no joke. That is a lot of damage. But at 6/6/6, and then the ability being pretty mediocre, to be honest, because in heroism, in green heroism, Cody isn't even heroism, so in green in general, you can play General Cody at 5. He's a 4/4 unit, granted, but he gives everybody else overwhelm conditionally with coordinate. He gives them overwhelm and +1/1. So I mean, if you're going for board control, you might as well do that, and then still give them overwhelm anyways. So I think Maul is he's not bad, but he's not great. Onto Nala Se. I think there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with Nala Se, but I don't think she's good enough to put her anywhere above C tier. With Nala Se, you get to ignore the aspect penalty of all clones that you play. So it means you can have a wide variety of clones. It doesn't have to just match your leader aspect or base aspect, or even villainy. It can be heroism clones. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do. I do think Nala Se is the first leader that you don't want to deploy as soon as possible. I think you want to save Nala Se deploy before you do something big. I just don't think Nala Se has all that much. I don't think Nala Se has all that much. Being 1/7 is just really, really, really weak. When deployed, Nala Se has the same ignore clone aspects, but clones also gain restore 2 to your base on defeat. So when each clone is defeated, they restore 2 to your base. So my immediate thought is, blue-black with a green base, and then you play the indefensive Camino with Nala Se out, and now all of your clones, as long as they're Republic, they gain restore 2, and when defeated they create another clone token. So you run them into units, and then you've basically restored 4 with every attack, as long as the clone dies. But that's pretty much all I've come up with for Nala Se. I just don't think they are very good. Onto Nute Gunray. Nute Gunray. A lot of people are ranting and raving about Nute. I personally don't see it. I don't think Nute is terrible. I just think Nute Gunray is really slow. I think I'm gonna have to put him at the end of B tier, probably just above Maul. As an action, if 2 or more friendly units were defeated this phase, you can create a battle droid token. So it's basically re-upping your exploit ammo. He comes out on 6 as a 2/8, and then on attack you can create a battle droid token, so more exploit ammo. Blue-black has access to malevolence, right? And then you can exploit all of your units, put out malevolence early, and then create another droid token, right? I don't really see Nute Gunray being crazy good. Maybe there are smarter people out there. Not maybe, there are smarter people out there. Hopefully they can come up with something better than I have for Nute. I'm excited to see. other people's decks on this. Unfortunately, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm gonna have to put him in C tier. I wish he was higher. I really like Obi-Wan as a character, but his action in leader slot and when he's deployed is just not that good. As an action, you can heal 1 damage from a unit. It's not restricted on friendly units, so you can, mess up somebody's grit unit by healing it. See, now you have things like Barrish, 1/1/1 Jedi, and when a friendly unit is healed, they get +1/+0 for the phase. That helps with Obi-Wan. He deploys on 6 as a 4/7 Sentinel. I think it's really cool that Anakin and Obi-Wan have the same stats and deploy at the same time. 4/7 Sentinel, it's tanky, right? It's it's no joke. And then his on attack is a little bit better. On attack, you can heal 1 from a damaged unit, and if you do, you can deal 1 damage to another unit. Again, not restricted. So you can heal 1 and then deal 1 to anything. I just don't think it's all that crazy. But last, but certainly not least, is Yoda. I think Yoda is our second S tier leader. I believe Yoda is insane. I think he's definitely going to see a lot of play for Yoda's ability. As an action, if a unit left play this phase, you can draw a card and then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. It doesn't have to be the card you drew, so you have insane hand fixing potential. He deploys at 7 as a 4/9 unit, so he's really tanky. He has restore. Since he comes out so late, you can kind of reel it back in with the restore. The kicker here though is when you deploy him, you can discard from the top of your deck, and then you can defeat any enemy non-leader unit that costs the same or less than the discarded card. So, since you have hand fixing potential, every single time you deploy Yoda, you can kill any bomb, basically. As long as you have, say, like a 7 cost unit to put on top of your deck, right? And then, since you're in heroism, you have access to the new capital ship Tranquility. So, as long as it was a Republic card, you can bring it back to your hand, so you haven't even lost it. I feel like Yoda is just really awesome. I can't wait to see what people come up with. That was my tier list. I know I kind of glossed over some things. Let me know what you guys think. I'm still getting used to the format. I want to make more content on TCG stuff, but thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, comment. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you feel like it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.